There's nothing quite like the satisfying crunch of a perfectly baked biscotti. That moment when you bite into its crispness and are greeted by a burst of flavor is pure culinary delight. And when it comes to biscotti, the combination of chocolate and hazelnut is a match made in heaven. This recipe for chocolate hazelnut biscotti is a personal favorite, perfect for those who find joy in creating delicious treats from scratch. This recipe isn't just about following instructions. It's about embarking on a journey of flavors and textures. It's about the therapeutic rhythm of baking, the intoxicating aroma that fills the kitchen, and the sheer satisfaction of crafting something truly special with your own two hands. Whether you're a seasoned baker or a curious novice, this recipe is an invitation to experience the joy of DIY baking. So, tie on your aprons, dear readers, and let's transform simple ingredients into a symphony of flavors. Let the warmth of the oven and the aroma of baking biscotti transport you to a place of pure culinary contentment. Get ready to discover the magic of homemade biscotti, one delicious crunch at a time. Before we embark on our biscotti making adventure, let's gather our delicious companions for this culinary journey. We'll need the usual suspects: flour, sugar, and eggs, the holy trinity of baking. But what transforms these humble ingredients into something truly special are the stars of our show: rich, decadent cocoa powder and crunchy, fragrant hazelnuts. A touch of baking powder will give our biscotti a gentle lift, while a pinch of salt enhances all the flavors. And of course, no biscotti recipe is complete without a splash of vanilla extract to add a warm, comforting note. As you measure out each ingredient, take a moment to appreciate their individual qualities, their textures, and aromas. This is where the magic begins, in this gathering of simple ingredients, each playing a crucial role in the final masterpiece. Remember, baking is as much about precision as it is about passion. So measure carefully, and let's get ready to transform these individual elements into a symphony of flavors. Now comes the fun part. In a large bowl, whisk together the flour, cocoa powder, sugar, and baking powder. This ensures everything is evenly distributed, promising a consistent flavor in every bite. Add a pinch of salt to bring out the richness of the chocolate and the nuttiness of the hazelnuts. Next, we introduce the wet ingredients to the dry. Crack the eggs into a separate bowl, adding a splash of vanilla extract for warmth. Whisk them together until they're light and frothy. Then pour the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and begin to mix. As the dough comes together, use your hands to bring it all together into a ball. Kneading the dough is a sensory experience. Feel the texture transform beneath your fingertips as you work the ingredients together. Don't be afraid to get your hands messy. This is where the love of baking truly gets kneaded into the dough. Once the dough is smooth and well combined, it's time to move on to the next exciting step. With our dough prepped to perfection, it's time to shape our biscotti. Divide the dough in half, creating 2 equal portions. On a lightly floured surface, gently roll each portion into a log shape, about 12 inches long and 2 inches wide. Don't worry if they're not perfectly uniform. A little rustic charm adds character. The key here is to handle the dough gently, coaxing it into shape rather than forcing it. If the dough feels sticky, lightly dust your hands with flour. Remember, baking is a dance, not a wrestling match. Once you're happy with the shape of your logs, place them on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Leave a little space between the logs to allow for spreading during baking. Now take a moment to admire your handiwork. These unbaked logs hold the promise of crunchy, chocolatey goodness, just waiting to be unleashed. Excitement is building. With our biscotti logs prepped and ready, it's time to introduce them to the warm embrace of the oven. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 175 degrees Celsius. This first bake is all about setting the stage, creating a firm foundation for the signature crunch of biscotti. Slide the baking sheet into the preheated oven and bake for about 25 to 30 minutes. Keep a watchful eye on them, as oven temperatures can vary. You'll know they're ready for the next step when the logs are lightly golden and feel firm to the touch. While the biscotti are enjoying their first bake, use this time to tidy up your workspace, or perhaps make yourself a cup of tea. The aroma of baking biscotti wafting through the kitchen is sure to put a smile on your face. Anticipation is part of the joy of baking. As the biscotti cool slightly, take a moment to savor the experience. The aroma of toasted hazelnuts and rich chocolate fills the air, a tantalizing preview of the deliciousness to come. This is the perfect time to brew a pot of strong coffee or steep a cup of your favorite tea. This little break isn't just about enjoying a warm beverage, it's about pausing to appreciate the process. Baking is a labor of love, and sometimes the greatest pleasure lies in those quiet moments of anticipation. Take a sip, close your eyes, and let the aroma of the biscotti transport you to a place of pure culinary bliss. This brief interlude also allows the biscotti to cool slightly, making them easier to handle for the next crucial step, slicing. Don't rush this process. Patience is a virtue, especially when it comes to baking. Once the biscotti logs have cooled slightly, it's time for the defining moment, slicing them into those iconic biscotti bites. Using a serrated knife, carefully slice each log diagonally into half-inch thick slices. Don't worry if you get a few crumbs. That's all part of the biscotti's rustic charm. The key here is to use a gentle sawing motion with the serrated knife, letting the blade do the work. Avoid pressing down too hard, as this could crush the biscotti. As you slice, marvel at the transformation of the dough from a soft, pliable mass to these sturdy, golden brown slices. Arrange the biscotti slices on the baking sheet, ensuring they're not touching. Each slice, with its crisp edges and delicate crumb, is a testament to your baking prowess. The anticipation builds as we prepare for the final bake. The second bake is where the magic truly happens, transforming the biscotti slices from merely baked to irresistibly crunchy. Reduce the oven temperature to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and return the baking sheet to the oven. This time, we bake for a shorter duration, about 10 to 15 minutes on each side. The goal is to dry out the biscotti, giving them that signature crunch that makes them so irresistible. Keep a close eye on them to prevent overbrowning. You'll know they're done when they're golden brown and feel firm to the touch. As the biscotti bake, the aroma intensifies, filling your kitchen with the intoxicating scent of chocolate, toasted hazelnuts, and pure baking bliss. This is the home stretch, the final step in our biscotti making adventure. Once the biscotti have reached their peak of golden brown perfection, carefully remove them from the oven and allow them to cool completely on a wire rack. This is where patience is truly tested, as the aroma of freshly baked biscotti is almost unbearable. As they cool, the biscotti will continue to crisp up, their texture transforming into that perfect balance of crunch and crumble. Resist the urge to sneak a bite just yet. Good things come to those who wait. While the biscotti cool, you can indulge in a little dusting of confectioner's sugar if you desire, for an extra touch of sweetness. This cooling period is also a time for reflection. Take a moment to appreciate the journey you've taken, from gathering the ingredients to transforming them into these beautiful homemade biscotti. It's a testament to the power of simple ingredients and the joy of creating something delicious from scratch. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. The biscotti have cooled completely, their crunchy texture beckoning you to take a bite. Break one open and marvel at the perfect crumb, the result of your dedication and patience. The aroma of chocolate and toasted hazelnuts fills the air, a symphony of flavors waiting to be savored. These biscotti are best enjoyed with a cup of coffee or tea, their crunchy texture complementing the warm beverage perfectly. Share them with friends and family or keep them all to yourself. We won't judge. The true joy of baking lies not just in the eating, but also in the sharing. So there you have it, dear readers, a journey through the delightful world of chocolate hazelnut biscotti. Remember, the most important ingredient in any recipe is love. So gather your ingredients, put on your aprons, and let the joy of baking fill your kitchen. Happy baking!